Hello, welcome everybody for today's broadcast in English from the studio here in Copenhagen. I'm Pernille, the AI program lead of FellowMind, and today we're going to hear from Danish Railways. And with me in the studio, I have Ingrid. And a little bit later on, once I've done a few introduction slides on FellowMind, I'll give the word over to you. And I'm very pleased to have you here today and to listen to all the great experiences that you've had with Copilot for Microsoft 365 so far. So let's just dive into a little bit of slide presentation and run through that rather quickly. So yeah, this is us, obviously, working out from FellowMind, a large European Microsoft partner, 2,000 employees across the Northern Europe. And what is it that we do? Well, we make people enjoy working with technology and make technology work with them, which is for today's topic very relevant because it's all about having a co-pilot by your side, not an autopilot, but getting the help you need from the technology that is relevant to you. So this setup is part of a larger series. So we're having like 6 different angles on AI currently running. And we are number 4 running today. But as you can see, we also have something on the 25th of May and the 2nd of May. So tune in for those episodes or watch the old episodes if interested. And with those words, I would like to hear from you, Ingrid, get a little introduction on yourself. What is it that you're doing at the Danish Railways currently?
Thank you, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today and to have you guys out there listening. My name is Ingrid Hagberg, and I work as a senior project manager in the Danish main train operator, DSB, so Danish Railways, or DSB as we're called. As said, I work in our strategy department, and that means that I have the privilege of diving deep into different strategic priorities that we have in DSB. And since last summer, that really for me has been AI. And the background of that is that we, during last summer, we formed a strategic initiative around AI. Acknowledging, that this really is a game-changing technology, and we have a really good, an excellent technical team working in the space and so on. So we had done quite a lot in the area, but it just, with all new things coming and with generative AI being such a huge part of the discussion in society, we formed a strategic initiative around it. And I myself have a huge interest in exponential technology development and have been working in that space for a couple of years. So I couldn't kind of keep my hands off. So I also took part of leading this initiative that we formed there. And since August, my main focus has been on Gen AI, exploring what that can do for our employees, for our colleagues, exploring new ways of working and how this really can create some opportunities for our coworkers. And of course, Copilot then is a natural part of that.
I think there's a lot of listeners or viewers out there today very keen on this whole topic and also looking into implementing these tools or some of these tools themselves. So if you're out there and if you have a good question for us, if you're listening or watching this through what we call the live storm, that means that you've signed up for this through our website or another link that's been shared with you. You can just pop questions into that platform. If you're watching from LinkedIn, you don't have that possibility, obviously, but then just lean back and enjoy, because Ingrid, you actually have really good experiences from what you've done. So not only are you like very into technology and a spokesperson, and also very energetic about it. So you do, like, I've seen you on stage, you're like out there, you really want people to engage in this, and that is that's awesome to see, because it's also quite important. Don't you feel it when doing stuff like this?
I absolutely agree. I think it's such an interesting time that we're in, and there's so much happening, not only for us in DSP, I mean, absolutely not isolated for us, but this is a global agenda that is constantly moving. And I feel that being extrovert and talking about what our learnings are is a great way to inspire others, but also to learn from others. Because the more extrovert you are, the more other people want to knowledge share with you, and the more learnings you can get from the outside world as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is such an interesting agenda to be kind of collaborating around, because it's not unique for us. It's not unique for any other company or agency or organization. It's really an interesting development for society, and I think we need to kind of figure that out together.
Yeah, I agree. Very much indeed. So what we're going to dive into in the beginning is just a presentation of what is it, or what was it, or where are you, kind of. What was the whole project, and how did you do it, and then later on we're getting into some of the findings that you made. That's probably like a cliffhanger for somebody who might be thinking of jumping off right now. We're coming to the results, so stay with us. But initially we're going to just maybe present to you how it was all built and the whole scope of it, and maybe other stuff that DSB is actually currently diving into, also in the realm of AI. So I'll just give you the stage and also the slide presentation. So just let us know if you want to...
If I want to show anything. Yeah. But I can maybe just start a bit with the background, because as I said, we formed this strategic initiative in last summer, and there's different parts of it, looking at more how do we transform our business and core parts of our business using not only generative AI, but more traditional AI and so on. But then there's this whole space of modern ways of working enabled by Gen AI. And that has been my focus area primarily. And last summer, when we started, we knew that Microsoft were coming with products, and we knew that Copilots were coming. But the timeline for that was somewhere out in like 2024. I mean, where we are right now, right? So we started building our own tools, and we started to put together Gen AI-based tools that we could offer to our colleagues, so that we could start learning and testing these capabilities together. And we launched our own DSB ChatGPT in September, and then came October, and Microsoft surprised us. They took us by surprise. I think it was in October, by saying, we're launching Copilot for Microsoft 365 1st of November. We're going general availability. And we were a bit, as said, taken by surprise. And we also needed to then figure out, okay, we have these tools that people started in our business really started to like, and we got a lot of traction and a lot of attention, and we were out like talking about the potentials and pitfalls with our colleagues in order to mobilize the organization around what these tools can do. But these were the tools that we built ourselves on top of Azure and all of that. And now came a off-the-shelf product, which is of course a beneficial solution if that works, with being connected to everything. I mean, we have, as many companies do, we have great use of all the Microsoft 365 suite with, I mean, I don't know how many PowerPoint presentations I've created in my life. So we absolutely saw the potential, and we said to ourselves that we need to explore this as well. And this needs to be part of our portfolio to kind of understand the potential of this one, also in relation to the things that we already had. So we started we initiated a test and learn process, we called it, because for us, our first step needed to be, okay, what can this do? Also knowing that we're a very Danish organization. We have a lot of international colleagues in the organization, but a lot of the communication and the work that we do is in Danish. And we knew that this was only available in English, but we knew that there were still some things working with Danish, and we started to form, we tried to form a test group that we actually could leverage for testing the English version, and just to figure out how can this create value for our employees. And I'm going to share a bit of the slides that kind of explains how we did it, because what we decided to do quite early was that we wanted to test it with some relevance users, and therefore we formed a super user group that was part of our test, part of our more detailed test, where we found in the more English-speaking departments in our organization, which is IT and S&T, it's called. It's the division that buys new trains and so on.
Yeah.
there we have English as our as the language
the
of
corporate language.
the corporate language of those divisions.
Yeah.
So we decided to quite early to say, let's find a group of people within these divisions that can test it out for us. So we formed this like more focused test group with 1 or 2 users from each team inside of that division to during an 8-week period really try it out for us. And that group were given more love and attention. So together with Microsoft and also together with Fellow Mind, we put this process together where we had a kickoff, we had a midway sharing, we had a finale that was like the 3 center points where we gathered people in order to really kind of show the potentials of the tool, get people to share how they used it, and really like get them engaged around testing and trying it out together with us.
Yeah.
And
so
we
that was the super users that we see. Yeah.
Exactly. And we had open office hours, and we did check-ins with them to see how they were doing and how their process was and so on. But at the time that we bought licenses, you had to buy 300 licenses in order to be part of the game, right?
Yes.
That has changed since, but for us that meant that this super user group was like a little less than 100. So we had licenses that we also wanted to test with other groups. So we also decided to involve a group of managers that also became one of the test groups.
And that's number 2.
That's number 2.
Yeah.
And then we still had some licenses to spare, so to say. And we also had an idea that people that have a natural interest in that,
like
kind of
like
myself,
or
from other parts of the organization that has a natural interest in this, that we also wanted to provide them some licenses. And that also gave us an opportunity to have kind of 3 different user groups that had 3 different levels of support, so to say, in order to see kind of what is needed for us to actually succeed and to get a good experience out of this. Yeah. That was at least our hypothesis, but I'll get back to that when we look at the results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it like now you're running a test with 300 licenses? You would like to utilize all the licenses at once, obviously, to be able to kind of measure the value creation in the best possible way, and you focus on 100 users that you call the super users, and they get your full love and attention. And then the other groups, they don't get that much. So did they know that they could have been in another group, or that you were actually handling it that way?
I think there was information, like we shared information about it, but then how much people actually understood the different levels, like the different groups, I'm not totally sure. But what everyone knew that this was a test process. Yeah. So even those people who got like just an early license, they knew that this is part of a test. We're trying it out together, and we love your feedback, and we want your your learnings yourself. But it's not a rollout, so it's also about managing expectations. But of course, like if they're given a license and they try it and it doesn't work, have we missed an opportunity to roll it out properly? But this was never a rollout. This has always been an ambition about testing and learning, and doing that together with the people from the business, because I really do think that the collective effort of this test group has been such a insightful journey, because if we were 10 people just testing it out, we would never have had those versatile learnings that we've had from this test group.
So at the very beginning of the process, did you have like a plan for how you want to measure it? Like, was it all planned out?
We did. I mean, of course, it was difficult because when we designed this process, we hadn't even tried it out ourselves. So it's always difficult to kind of design a process for a tool that you haven't used. Yeah. But we had some expectations and some hypotheses based also on the other tools that we had, and in general, kind of the tools out there on the market, with everything from OpenAI to the whole suite of opportunities that lie out there. So we had 3 hypotheses, and that was that Copilot could, we wanted to check if it could help us to make more with less time, so on productivity, to kind of, do things faster, free up time for more value-adding activities, and so on. And then we had a second one, which was about quality, because one of the learnings from when we had worked with our own tools during the fall was that it can really help us to create sometimes things with higher quality, because we can test and we can iterate and we can get feedback from Gen AI, like give them a project plan and ask, what are the deficits, or what improvements can we do here?
They're never closed.
They're always open.
Reachable. Yeah.
Like you can really use it as a sparring partner, and I think that's one of the surprises from my end was really how much people used Gen AI tools for increasing the quality of the work.
Yeah.
And not only for producing more, like faster. So that was our second hypothesis that we wanted to check, and then we had a third one which focused on modern ways of working, because we also, we're a train operator, and we're a huge organization, and we're an employer, and we of course want our employees to have a nice working environment with good tools that help them to perform the best work that they can. So we also wanted to check, is this something that we believe supports a new and modern way of working?
Yeah. Cool. So 3 hypotheses: quality, productivity, and employee engagement, modern work style.
Modern work / employee branding. I think for us it's important in terms of talent and in terms of attracting talent and keeping talent. Of course, we want to be a nice place to work, and that's part of that agenda.
So you think, like, just from a personal perspective, would you like, if you were to change to a different place to work, would you consider that? Would you consider the tool part, like the package of tools? Would you ask? I don't know. I just, from my imagination,
I would maybe sometimes also expect, like, if you start in, like, maybe I wouldn't ask in a job interview, what tools do you use, but I do have some expectations, and if those are not met when I enter a position, I would get frustrated as an employee to not be supported by the tools that I know are out there that could help me in my everyday. And I think it's more of that, and I think offering great tools and being open about also when you try new tools and innovative tools, I think that can attract people. And I think that's also why it's important to also be talking openly about it, because I think it should be something that more like having a good suite of tools supporting your employees should be a priority.
Yeah, I agree. So I would be very frustrated also myself if that was not a possibility to use some of these tools, because I've already developed some kind of an addiction towards working with them.
And I think that's, right now we're not probably there yet because it's still so new to the market, but I could foresee that in, I don't know, a few years, depending on development, of course, and depending on how successful it becomes, it could be a way to differentiate yourself if it doesn't become household for everyone. I mean, we'll live to see it. So
true, we will.
Yeah,
that's very exciting. So should we dive into some of the results that you found during this process?
Let's do that. And again, I should emphasize that our test process was only 8 weeks.
Yeah,
and it ran between January and like early January to February. So it was 8 weeks where there since even have been improvements and so on.
True.
And it is the version that was available or is still available in English and not in Danish. So it, of course, does have effect, because I think we should also acknowledge that even though we tried to find a target group that fitted and were suitable for testing the English version, the Danish language is very prominent in DSB.
True.
And some of the applications and Copilot in, for example, Copilot Chat and Copilot in Word and PowerPoint can to some extent understand Danish and handle the Danish language, even though you need to prompt in English. But in Outlook, for example, if I click the summarize button, it doesn't recognize the language of the mails that I have.
No.
So I think also that needs to be taken into account when we look at the results, just so we have that in mind.
Yeah.
But if we do look at the results, we can see that overall, what our users report back. And it should be said that I showed the different user groups before, and the results here are actually based on the results from all the respondents that we had, because we did do a final survey with everyone that we did together with you guys in FellowMind. So these results are based on the feedback from all the users that have tried Copilot. So we do have, I think everyone who has rolled out licenses have a lot of licenses that are maybe not have been used and so on. But we've looked at the people that actually have used it and what their feedback has been. And if we look at the first parameter, which was productivity, we see that we do actually have almost 80% reporting back that they do expect that they have some time savings coming in from Copilot. And it should be said that this is self-reported, so we haven't been out measuring, how long does it do. Exactly, we didn't do that. We did this is survey-based, and this is based on their own experiences and expectations. But 80% of the users and 84% of the super users indicate that they do save time using Copilot. And we have an average saving of approximately 34 minutes per week. And this is looking at everyone that has responded, both the satisfied users to the ones that think that maybe this isn't
for me.
This isn't for me, or it doesn't. They have different experiences. We'll get back to that. So we see that we get kind of a quite positive result there, I would say. But it's more, if you look at it on an average, it's still half an hour here and there. It's not the, when we come back to looking at the numbers for productivity, it's more in that space and not the, I've saved very many hours every week.
I know, but some people save more hours and others save less.
And we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But then also for quality, that was actually, there we have lower results, I would say. So we have 48% of all users believe that Copilot can help them improve the quality of their work. And I would expect that this has a lot to do with Copilot's maturity in the productivity tools, like in the, if you look at PowerPoint and Excel, that if we were to map them out on a maturity line scale, I would map Excel the lowest, and then comes PowerPoint, and then up on the a bit more mature is Word, Copilot Chat, Outlook, and so on, and Teams. So I think that kind of indicates also that the maturity it still leaves kind of room for improvement in Excel and PowerPoint that I think many had expectations around, also considering the really cool marketing videos that gave some promises that I don't think maybe we were fully there yet when they decided to launch early.
True. So I think that's actually quite positive, especially also on the maturity scale. So quality of work. Okay, so let's say we get the Excel, let's say we get the PowerPoint a little bit more mature. We get the language. Like suddenly we are going to hopefully get to where we're actually standing with a tool that is quite valuable to the employees.
I think
that's an assumption. Yeah, I know.
And I think we'll get back to that assumption in a bit. But I think I agree, but I think also that considering that it is also an early version of the tool, I think one experience has been that sometimes there's some issues with the tool is constantly developing, so a prompt that you tried yesterday might not work as well today. So I think that has also been kind of I think this result actually also encompasses that a bit. But we'll get back to that. But then also, I think from modern ways of working, I think the message is very clear. I think that it's safe to say that our colleagues and the people who have reported back on this believe that this is supporting a modern way of working. And you can see that the result is 84% of all the respondents, and as high as 97% of the super users do believe that this is part of a modern way of working.
That should be just reflected upon just for a little while, because that actually refers back to what we just talked about, changing jobs with or without this tool in the other end. So if the employees, if we ourselves as colleagues and as workers every day actually feel this tool is the way forward in working?
Yeah, this tool or other generative AI tools. I think this movement of, and I think the expectations, and we will get used to it as you referred to yourself. I think that development will go quite fast because it's not like what we did during the fall as well. We were out talking to almost all of our employees that have administrative tasks, or at least very many of them. And it's not only the ones that are interested in the technology that can see the potential just as long as they try it out. When they try it out, people really get the understanding of how can it help me, and it helps them to kind of redesign the workday. And that has been one of the coolest experiences in my career, is to see how these kind of tools, when they come into the hands of my talented and qualified colleagues, how their imagination starts to create use cases for how they can use it. And I think that's really cool in general with the generative AI.
I agree. Should we grab a few more slides?
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, now we've seen the results on the overall kind of criteria that we were looking at. But I think one interesting thing is, and this talks into the maturity, is that based on our respondents, I think the message is that very many believe that it holds potential, but that it still doesn't meet the user's full expectations. And I referred earlier to these kind of really great marketing videos where you felt like as long as you had Copilot in your hands, you could do anything. And I think that the results on this slide show that that is not totally the case.
No.
We do have quite a broad range of satisfaction scores in our test cohort. And I think that kind of tells the story that people were going in with expectations of, this can solve anything for me. This is magic. And this is
magic.
It isn't an autopilot, but it's still a Copilot that can help me with everything almost. And I think that was not really the case. It was also launched early, and I think that might also be a result of that. But still, people do believe that it does hold potential, and I think that's interesting to see. And we do also see that among those that are satisfied, we do get better results. And this is maybe a bit of a hen and an egg situation, but if we see that some of our testers really have figured it more out, or have use cases where it really does work. And they also, these users, they report that they use it more often. They save more time. I mean, on average, they save 52 minutes compared to the 34 minutes I just said before on average in the full cohort. So we do see that we have some users that are figuring it out. You would assume that all of these users were super users, that we had been out teaching and telling them how to use it, but that's actually not the case. No. So we do have a slight overrepresentation from the super users, but we can see also that it's probably more about that Copilot should support the use cases that are relevant for you. And therefore, it's also about kind of, for us, it's important now in the next steps to figure out, or we have hypotheses and learnings about who those people are, and really try to match the tool with, and what it can right now, with the roles and the users that have those needs. So it's really about kind of figuring that out as a first step in our journey onwards.
Really cool. Okay, so users that are actually not really that well taken care of in terms of adoption, or a part of that first super user track that we saw with all these activities. So they're actually a bit neglected. Still get that's a strong word.
No, it's okay.
But they still get value out of.
Some of them do, and some of them don't. I mean, we also do have users that have tested it and given up, I would say. But I think the learning from this is also that that we need, for us going forward, we need to really design training materials that are very specific, that are focusing on the use cases that matters, so that we can teach a few things that matter to the people that we have that
Yes.
have the licenses, rather than opening up the opportunity of everything that you can do, but really try to find focus.
Yeah.
And at least that's going to be our main focus for the next couple of months, while we await kind of how the tool matures, develops, becomes available and stable in Danish, also an important factor for us. But until then, it's about the applications that work and the use cases where you really can succeed with Copilot.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, actually. Going more role focused of function, business line kind of focus on it. So you give the tools to the people that need it the most and have the relevant use cases.
Yeah.
That's just textbook. So really cool to hear. So we're almost at the end of it all. I hope that everybody out there gained a lot of cool information. Just quickly showing that there are more of these broadcasts to be joined. If you felt that this provided you with some value or some cool insights from a real life customer in the studio, then you can just reach out and let us know if you also want our help and support to move on in your journey within AI. Copilot could be anything. But I want to thank you very much, Ingrid, for taking your time to join us today in the studio, and wish everybody out there a really good day. So should we say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Bye.